You're listening to NacChat with Amy Mahaffey, straight from the city of Nacogdoches, where we chat all things Nac. We make any topic fun, and I'll take you behind the scenes of the oldest town in Texas.
Well, welcome to episode 16 of NacChat. I have a very, very exciting guest today, Police Chief Jim Sevey.
Good to be here.
How are you?
Peachy.
You're peachy?
Yeah, I am.
Good. So, what do you think of our podcast?
Well, I think it's a good idea. It's just a different way to reach a different part of the community.
We have a lot of listeners out there, believe it or not.
Right here.
Yeah, it's fun.
Literally.
Ha, 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 ha. Well, as you know, this is kind of our month to highlight your department. And so I want to first talk to you a little bit about how you ended up in Nacogdoches and kind of your background. I want people to know who you are. And then we'll talk a little bit about your guys and the staff and how they get to be where they are.
Okay. Well, about me, in 1981, I decided to get into police work purely by accident. I was riding with a friend of mine who was a police officer one night. He said, "You ought to come ride with me." And I said, "Why? I don't even want to do this. I have no interest in it." And I got hooked on one night, and the very next week I went down to the police department, walked into the chief's office, and literally spoke face-to-face to the chief at lunchtime. And he handed me an application. I filled it out right there on his desk and pushed it right back across to him. That was 1981, so almost 37 years ago. And things have changed a lot since then. I worked for the Midland Police Department for 25 years. One day I was having a conversation with my boss, who was the chief of police in Midland, and I said, "I've been watching you do your job for a while, and I think I want to give it a try." So I put my resume out there. Nacogdoches was the first agency that I sent a resume to. It was not the last, because at the time a hurricane had hit and all kinds of mayhem was in the city, and it took them a while to make a choice, but out of 76 applicants I was chosen and moved here from Midland, which is culture shock in the extreme. You're talking flat, sandy, windy, hot, to 15% humidity to 70% humidity, and lots of trees and all kinds of stuff. And that was almost 12 years ago. December 1st of 2017 will be 12 years for me to be here. I committed to 5. And so still here, 37th year in law enforcement, and things have changed so dramatically during my career that you wouldn't recognize it anymore. You would not recognize police work today from when I got into it. Lots of change. So here we are in East Texas, Nacogdoches, and we have the same things going on here that we had in Midland, even though Midland is 130,000 people and Nacogdoches is 33, 35. Same problems. I have the same units here. I have a SWAT team, I have a street crimes unit, I have detectives, I have crime scene folks, just on a smaller scale, so we have fewer calls, but the same types of calls.
Sure.
So it's really no different. It's just a little bit less frequency.
What is your favorite part about police work?
I think my favorite part is, well, there are two of them. One is when we can concentrate on a neighborhood that has a problem, and we can resolve that problem, and you can see people's relief. You can physically watch it come across their face. That's pretty cool. And these are mostly, I would call them, quality of life issues.
Okay.
It's not really a criminal issue, but it's something that I always told my wife, when I come home every evening, I want to be able to drive in my neighborhood and feel good about where I live. And that's what this is about. It's about feeling good about where you live. It's not necessarily about crime. So we do a lot of things like that, and you get to watch people relax. You can see the stress leave their body, and that's pretty interesting. The other thing is kind of a backwards kind of a thing, because you're dealing with victims, and sometimes these victims have lost a family member, or sometimes they feel like their personal space has been invaded.
Sure.
And it's very traumatic to them. And if we can catch the person who did that, it's the same thing. It's one is a neighborhood issue, and the other one is very much an individual victim issue. We can watch that victim of that crime. We can watch them think, I can go back to my normal life now. And you have a very, very, very real impact on people's lives. And sometimes you get that satisfaction after a particular call, serious call like that. You can literally say, I saved somebody's life, literally.
It's great.
And that's a really, really good feeling. And I think the difference I've seen over a 37-year career is that once upon a time there were like adrenaline junkies would apply to police departments because they like the excitement. More so nowadays, I'm seeing people who enjoy helping others in a legitimate way. Yeah, you still got to write tickets, you still got to arrest people and all that kind of stuff. That's always going to be part of the job. A lot of people just enjoy the satisfaction that you get when someone has genuinely been helped.
Yeah.
And it makes you feel good.
So a big part of, I feel like, your job is helping your police officers become better officers, become better servants to the community.
Right.
So how do you view your role in that regard?
Well, a lot of people say that leadership comes from the bottom up, that you have to have employees that want to be leaders and are leaders in order for it to for true leadership and to make positive change. I disagree. I think that leadership really does start at the top, because I can choke down anything that I want to among the employees in the police department if I want to. So I think you have to lead by example. That's something you hear all the time.
Sure.
But I think it's absolutely true, and I don't think it'll ever change. So I don't think you can hear it enough. You got to lead by example. You have to exemplify the attitudes you want your people to have. For instance, there is among police officers, there is a huge distrust in the media. And all it takes is one time being misquoted to the extent that it changes the story.
Sure.
All it takes is one time, and that officer will remember that one time for the next 50 years.
Right.
And so one of the problems that I think is my job is that I'll talk to anybody, anytime, anywhere. It doesn't have to be scripted. Heaven help you if you don't quote me right, because I will come to your office and I will talk to you about it. I'm not going to be mad, and I'm not going to hurt you or anything. Don't worry about that.
Right.
But I am going to say, why, when you recorded this, why did you not listen to your own recording and get it right? So there's a responsibility on both sides. There's the journalist's responsibility to get it right, and there's my responsibility to be open and honest and to invite them in. And
sure.
I enjoy friendly relationships with, I don't know of anybody right now in the media, either locally or anywhere else, that I can't sit down and have lunch with or talk to and have a good time with.
Absolutely.
So I have to exemplify that in order for my troops to want to be that also. And if I express distrust in a particular group or a person, they're going to automatically say, yeah, well, I don't trust them either.
Right.
So, and that's true in all things. If there's a change in the law and I say that's a ridiculous, stupid law and we shouldn't enforce it, then the troops are going to adopt that attitude.
Right.
So no matter where we're at, no matter what we're doing, it's important that my attitude is right.
Yeah.
And I always tell my guys, let's go in the room, let's close the door, let's talk the issue out. When we go in, we may have differing opinions, but when we come out, we're all going to be of one opinion and one accord. And because we'll talk the issue out, and if I think it needs addressed officially and formally, something needs to be changed, we'll do that. But if not, then we go in the door with varying opinions. We come out the door with one opinion.
Sure.
And that has to be modeled from the top down.
How many officers are on staff?
We have approximately 67 licensed officers.
Okay.
We have about 93 total employees. The remainder of those employees are not licensed. They are. Some people call them civilians. We're not a military unit, so I don't refer to them as civilians. I refer to them as licensed versus non-licensed.
Okay.
So.
And so what, you talked a little about your leading by example, but there's also a lot of formal training that takes place.
Right.
So can you walk me through police academy to being hired to continuing education?
Everything we do is controlled by a commission. It's called the Texas Commission on Law Enforcement.
Okay.
We just call it TCO. They're down in Austin, and they decide licensing, training, minimal requirements, all kinds of things like that. The important thing to note is that they express minimums.
Okay.
We try to go far beyond the minimums.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think the minimums are good enough, but it is a starting point. So there are a couple of ways to get hired as an officer in any agency, but I'll be specific in Nacogdoches. I can hire you as an intern.
Okay.
An intern can be 18 years old, college student, we prefer, and someone who is studying criminal justice. When you finish your position as an intern and you want to transition over into a law enforcement career, we'll give you first preference. This is the hardest position to do it from because we only have one intern.
Okay.
And so there's only one person at a time that can actually apply to that. So I won't say anything more about that because it's unusual. Second is we can hire you and put you in the police academy.
Okay.
You need to be 21 by the time you graduate from the police academy. You have to have a high school education. We prefer college, but we don't require it. You have to take a written test, a fitness test. If you pass both of those, that usually weeds out about 1/2, by the way. When you pass that, then you're set up for an appointment before an interview board. Interview board will kind of put you through the ringer a little bit. It's really not bad, but some people don't take interview boards very well, but it's not that bad, really. And here's the thing to remember. You have to be absolutely honest. I can work with people who have some questionable things in their background, but I cannot work with someone who lies. If you lie one time during the process, you are automatically out.
Wow.
Period. No questions asked. We won't even bring you in and say, why'd you lie? We'll just say you're out. So honesty will cover a multitude of sins.
I see.
We'll help you work through some issues, and we'll tell you if we just can't hire you, or if maybe we need you to show a couple of years of exemplary behavior before we'll look at you again.
Okay.
Or tell me what's going on in your life at that time, and we may be able to say, okay, that mitigates what was going on in your life at that time is going to mitigate this a little bit, and we'll make some decisions there. Okay. So you get through the interview, and then your packet is given to a background inspector, and then he gets out his flashlight and his set of keys, and he goes through your background in extreme detail. We talk to everybody. So go ahead and put your references down, all the ones that you've taken to lunch and told them to say good things about you, because we're going to ask them, who can we talk to?
Okay.
And we're going to drill down 2 or 3 levels.
Wow.
And we will be talking to people that either you A, did not want us to, or B, you didn't think of them, because we're going to talk to them. We lose a lot of people in background because they didn't put complete information down on their application.
Okay.
So let's understand what a dishonest statement is. You either make this statement or you fail to put something down. We call that an omission.
Sure.
And an omission is dishonest.
It's a lie. Yeah.
Yes. And period. And so that gets a lot of people. Ultimately, let's just say we have 3 to 5 openings. If you make it through all of that, I get a statement from the background investigator and from the interview board and from the people who did the written and the fitness test, and they all have to recommend you to hire. Then it comes to me, and you have to come in and talk to me one-on-one.
Okay.
And I talk about the culture of the department, about what the expectations are, and at that point, I'm telling you, you need to choose us, because I want you to be excited. I want you to be happy to work here. And what I always tell people is that you may not always like everything about your job, but I always want you to be proud of where you work.
Yeah.
And after I talk to you about the culture of the department and what I expect of you, you make that decision. Can you work for me or not? Because if you aren't willing to do the things I ask you to do, it's just a matter of time. You're going to run aground somewhere, and it's going to just add stress to your life. So if you're not a licensed officer, you go through all that, and then we put you in the academy. We buy your uniforms. We give you all the equipment. You're paid a full salary. You have benefits. You have health benefits. You have retirement benefits. You have the whole package. You are a full-time recruit. Then you go through the academy, which is 16 to 18 weeks long. At the end of it, you have to take a state exam. It's difficult. I'm not going to lie to you. It's a long, sectioned out exam, but we prepare you for it. Mm-hmm. And most people pass without a problem. Then, if you don't pass, well, what else do you want to do with your life? You're not going to be a police officer. But you have I think, 2 chances to pass. We have never had anyone not pass. We've had a couple of people have to retake.
Okay.
But they've always passed. So then we put you in a field training program. That's about 18 weeks long, 16 weeks of training and 2 weeks of evaluation. You make that, you are now a probationary officer until you make your probationary period with the city, which is a year. And then you're a regular officer and you're assigned to a shift and away you go.
Wow. So,
and the training program is intense. It's complete. You ride with an officer every day. We don't ever put you out there by yourself.
Sure.
I was put out by myself in 1981 after riding with a guy for 2 nights. Mm-hmm. I hadn't even gone to the academy.
Wow.
You didn't have to back then.
Yeah.
And it was so it's a whole different world nowadays. Well, the other way to get hired is if you're already licensed, you come in, take the fitness test, take the written test, go to the interview board, go through the background, come and talk to me, and then we put you straight into the FTO program.
I see. Okay.
So it's a much abbreviated process if you're already licensed.
So if you come from another community, that's the route you would take because you would already be...
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
So how you have officers, 67 approximately,
mm-hmm.
How often do they retrain? Do they go practice their skills? Do they learn new things?
The state requires that you have 40 hours of training every 2 years. That's mandated training by law.
Okay.
And those are anywhere from use of force to cultural sensitivity to de-escalation training when you're dealing with angry people, and rather than use force against them, we want you to try to talk them out of what they're doing at
mm-hmm.
the time. Legal updates. Every 2 years the legislature meets. Every mm-hmm. 2 years they give us new laws, revised laws, all kinds of stuff.
Wow.
So every 2 years we're having to go back through that also.
I see.
In addition to that, we do internal training, which is, it's like firearms. We do qualification courses once a quarter on firearms. We train routinely on the use of less lethal weapons like tasers and pepper spray and things like that. We also do internal training that deals with case law that comes out. That's different from statutory law that the legislature gives us. Case law usually comes out through the state or federal courts of appeals, or even the Supreme Court on occasion, where the job that we were doing yesterday is no longer valid because of a court decision. So we do a lot of that.
Wow.
We do a lot of selective training, like our SWAT team does a lot of training. We have a hostage negotiation team that does a lot of additional training. We have canine units. They train weekly.
Sure.
We do a lot of selected training based on what's going on in the state and the country. We might pick a topic, like something happened in another state that created a problem. Well, we'll examine our own processes and our own people and say, is that something we need to be attentive to? And so we will select subjects throughout the year. Sometimes it might be a 15-minute training event. Sometimes it might be days or even a week long. Mm-hmm. I don't say we need to have 8 hours of this or 4 hours of that. I say we need to have sufficient training, whatever that might be.
I see.
Every single week, officers go through an officer safety training video put out by the Texas Police Chief Association. And a lot of that training is de-escalation training, because we don't want our officers to get hurt unnecessarily because maybe they could have used a technique to de-escalate a situation. And so we try to train those techniques frequently. And a lot of safety issues like traffic safety, visibility, body armor, wear your seatbelt in your car, for crying out loud. Back when the seatbelt laws first came in, all I heard was it's my right to drive a car without a seatbelt if I want. And I was one of those people. I didn't wear a seatbelt either, like nobody did. Seatbelts used to be something that gathered stains and faded in the sun, but not anymore. And seatbelts are actually your first best defense in a car wreck.
Right.
More officers are killed in car wrecks than they are with gunshots. So we try to affect that by enforcing seatbelt laws and policies within our own ranks, but we also try to inform the officers that it's really a good thing and this is why, hoping that they will then pass that on to the public. So lots and lots of training, whether the officers realize it or not. And I love it when they don't realize that they're being trained.
Yeah,
because that's
absolutely.
the best kind of training in the world.
Sure.
So that's a kind of a brief cruise through the training world.
What would you want to tell anybody who's interested in the police department?
Come talk to me.
Yeah.
936-559-2601.
You always answer the phone when I call.
Yes, that's my direct line.
Yes.
My email address is on the city's website, and it's in probably half the pockets of the people in Nacogdoches.
Sure.
Lots of people call me, talk to me on the street. If you call the police department and ask for me because you want to talk about a job, will you get a recruiter? No, you won't. You'll get me. If you come down and want to talk to me, I'll give you a tour of the station. I'll tell you what to expect. If you want to talk to me about your background, I have frequent calls. And someone says, well, I did this when I was 16, or I did this when I was 18. And the list keep me from having a job. If you're curious, call me. I'm not going to judge you. I'm going to try to give you the information that you need to make a good choice, because this is not a job. It's a career. It takes a substantial commitment of your time and effort before you ever hit the street as an officer.
Absolutely.
And so if you're interested, we have openings now for both licensed and recruits. We will not have another. We've already tested for the new recruit school that's coming up this fall. So that time has passed. But there are 2 schools every year. And you got to get your application in, and it is a substantial piece of paperwork. It takes days. You can't do it on the chief's desktop anymore like I did. It takes days. So don't doubt yourself. Just come in and work with facts. One of the worst things you can do is to say that my brother knows a guy whose cousin was once a trooper in Alaska who told me that a friend of his couldn't do this. And, well, don't do that. Just call. Just give me a call. Come down and visit. Whatever the case may be. Happy to walk you through the process. Happy to let you look at. I'll tell you this. We have the best equipment and the best training. I'd put our agency up against any of them, including Dallas, Houston, and everybody else. We put you on the street ready to go. We body armor, firearms, less lethal weapons, good quality digital cameras that record well in the day and the night. We have the best patrol cars with excellent maintenance. You'll be proud of where you work. You'll be proud of the job that you do. And because not very many people make it. We had 15 people apply the last time. 1 is in background out of 15. The other 14 were dismissed for various reasons.
Wow.
And, so we got 1 out of 15.
But it's okay to have high standards because of what the type of work you're doing.
We have to have high standards. We don't need people so bad that we need bad people.
There you go.
And so we put you through the ringer, and if you become a part of our police department, you really are all that, in my opinion.
Wow.
Because we go to great lengths to get the best people that we can.
So every episode we do what we call our rumor mill.
Excellent.
And
I love rumors.
Yes, and I think that you
the very definition is that they are without fact.
Well, sometimes they are.
Sometimes
And sometimes
there's
they
a
are
smidge
not.
of truth.
So what we like to do is kind of, sometimes we'll look at stuff that we've seen on social media, but I know you're not on social media. So I want to hear from you. some of the rumors, or a rumor that you maybe have heard about the police department, or that you've had somebody repeat to you and asked you those type of questions about my brother's friend who lives in Alaska. And let's debunk the rumor.
Okay, here's a great rumor. The police department has a ticket quota because they generate revenue. Well, to a certain extent, that's true.
Okay.
The police department does not generate revenue for the police department. Every time a citation is issued, that citation goes to municipal court. That is an independent. When you were in high school, in government class, there really are 3 branches of government. There really is a system of checks and balances.
Yes.
The police department is in the executive branch. Municipal court is in the judicial branch. Most of the fines that they generate go to the state, don't come to us.
Wow. Okay.
Of the fines that do come to the city, they don't come to the police department. They go to the city of Nacogdoches through the general fund.
Yes.
So the revenue that's generated off of citations, off traffic tickets, is not huge, and it doesn't come directly back to the police department. Sure, some of it's going to filter through the general fund and
To support what you're doing.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
me.
But sure. But I can't go out and write a bunch of tickets hoping that we'll get some fines in so that I can buy
New leather chair for your
whatever.
office.
It just doesn't work that way.
Sure.
We have a stated traffic plan that talks about enforcement. It talks about education. We would much prefer that people drive safe than write tickets. And that's the honest truth.
Sure.
And we do regular public education programs. We teach people how to put car seats in. We caution people about leaving kids inside of a car, particularly in the summertime. Things like that. And none of our regular enforcement activities are based on frequency of traffic accidents or frequency of violations based on citizen complaints. And that's how we apportion our traffic officers out throughout the city.
I see.
So that's one.
And tickets equal less accidents.
They really do. We've cut the accident rate over 40% in the last 5 years.
That's impressive.
That's not only that impressive, but we have people calling us and saying, "What are you doing? How are you doing this?" And we've even had allegations. Okay, you're pencil whipping the stats. Well, no, we're not. Accidents are reported based on state law.
Sure.
You can't just not report an accident and pencil whip the statistic. We have substantial lessening in traffic accidents because we target specifically known problem areas. That's as simple as that.
You know, I don't know if you know this story. I got a ticket on my way to the job interview for this job.
Bummer.
Speeding.
No.
Shocker.
Were you late?
I had my time wrong, or somebody had my time wrong. I thought I was leisurely, ready to go. I was ahead. I was not stressed out about my interview. I was going to go grab a coffee on the way to the interview, and then I got a call from Miss Jan, and she said, "Are you coming to your interview?" And I said, right, yeah, it's in an hour, right? And she said, "No, it's in, right now." And so here I go. Away I go. And I was getting married the next week, and so it was very stressful, but
It's your husband's fault.
it really wasn't. He wasn't even around. It was totally my fault. So I always think about that when I walked into my interview and I said, "Well, I met one of your city employees today." So
Well, it might interest you to know that when I was going for my job interview in Midland, Texas, I got a speeding ticket
there you go.
going to my job interview back in the early 1980s.
Well, there you go.
And it was because I had no idea where I was.
That was part of it. And the officer, I later met the officer, and he's a friend, and I later said, "You gave me a ticket on the way to my interview." And he said, "Yeah, I remember you." And I guess I was kind of short with him because I was frustrated. And I told him after he gave me the ticket, "I don't know how to get to City Hall. Can you help me?" And looking back, he gave me the most roundabout, confusing directions. And he said, "Yeah, I did that because you're rude to me." And I thought, okay.
I hate to hear that.
Well, it's okay. No, it was all in good fun. And he said, and it's and when I left, he said, "And it's 30 miles an hour, by the way." And I said, I think I got it.
Got that? Yeah.
But that is a testament to, if you are kind to your police officer, even when you are getting a ticket, that it's all going to be okay and they'll help you out. But if you're snippy like I was, then maybe not so much. I don't know.
Bummer.
Well, I appreciate you being on the show.
Sure.
And
anytime.
doing the rumor mill.
Anytime.
Are you going to listen to it after we're done?
I will.
Good. We had fun sound effects and stuff. So.
Oh, good. Well,
yeah,
I hate my voice, so feel free to affect it.
No, you did
all
great.
You wish, so.
We appreciate you
I don't
being
like
on.
my recorded voice.
I don't either.
It does not sound good. I'm not a radio guy.
Well, maybe we will get some new applicants.
I hope so. If come on down and give us a try. Come talk to me. We'll visit.
All right. Well, with that, we will sign off. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.